Hey people, CzarThwomp here, and welcome to episode 23 of the Great Ace Attorney Adventures. Last time, we did an examination summation, which basically allowed us to overturn four of the jurors' opinions, thanks to the power of contradictions. Then we did some more cross-examination, where we basically presented the blood-soaked glove that basically had some blood on it, to basically contradict a blood-soaked hand statement, which we're going to go into more detail right now. Well, I admit soaked might be laying on a bit thick, but anyways, there was definitely blood all over them. Both of them are covered in it. Well, I'm very sorry to disagree, Mr. Fairplay. Sorry. But that's more than a little peculiar. What? Here are the gloves worn by the defendant, Mr. McGilded, on the night in question, and CzarThwomp is getting a mucus buildup. Oh, yes. Right. And there certainly does appear to be a sizable dark-colored stain there. But, as I'm sure you can clearly see, it's only on the right-hand glove. Ah! In short, Mr. Fairplay, your testimony is inconsistent. Gah! But, no! That can't be right! So you're the liar here then! I'm kicking your ass! I will whoop your ass with my handbag! Grah! That's right! You were quite clear about it! You said, it was both hands! And I will now use both hands to stab you multiple times! You broke my heart, so I'm going to break your spine! Grah! Mr. Fairplay, if your last statement was a lie, it calls your entire testimony into question. You said you saw the moment the victim was stabbed, but is that really the truth? Objection! It was a simple mistake. You can't justify accusing this man of lying. Yes, it was in both hands. It was only one. But the fact remains, the victim's blood was on the accused! Objection! No! Mr. Fairplay categorically stated that he saw blood all over both hands, which means there's a strong possibility that this witness was deliberately trying to mislead the court. Gah! Why? I'm a city banker, for pity's sake! My word should be the gold standard! I'm a gentleman, not some gutter snipe! Upstanding members of society don't previctorate! He's claiming to have no reason to lie, but is that really the case? Mr. Naruto, if we had some evidence to explain why Mr. Fairplay might be lying, it could turn the tide in this trial completely. Something to show this man had a compelling reason to lie in his testimony. I have the evidence. My lord. Yes, counsel? The defense is ready to present evidence. By Jove, are you sure? Yes, evidence that will clearly demonstrate that CzarThwomp forgot to turn the timer on. Evidence that will clearly demonstrate why Mr. Fairplay had reason to lie in his testimony. Gah! Very well. I hereby call on the defense to present its evidence. The evidence that demonstrates a motive for the witness's alleged deception of the court. Take that! This is a list of the debtors who owe money to Mr. McGilded. Yes, a list of innocent victims crippled by the accused extortion. The point is, among the names of these debtors is your name, Mr. Bruce Fairplay. What? Mr. Fairplay, are you currently indebted financially to the accused? It's barely what's being called a debt. According to this ledger, you owe 20 guineas. Not-inconsiderate money, wouldn't you say? Well, what of it? Let's suppose Mr. McGilded were to be found guilty of murder. What would become of your debt in that case? These documents state that the loan agreement is forged between two individual parties. Therefore, were the creditor, the defendant here, to be sentenced to a capital punishment, all outstanding debts which were owed him would be annulled. They would cease to exist. Cease to exist? Mr. Fairplay, is it not the case that you claimed in your testimony to have seen something you never in fact saw, in a devious attempt to annul your debt of 20 guineas to the defendant? Order! Mr. Bruce Fairplay! Yes, my lord! Let me ask you again, and be aware that your answer may have most serious implications upon your future, sir. Did you or did you not see the precise moment see the precise moment in time at which the defendant is alleged to have thrust a knife into the victim? Your silence speaks volumes. You did not tell the truth in your testimony. Alright, let's not make a melodrama out of this. Perhaps I did overstate the truth a pinch. A pinch? But it matters no difference. I definitely remember seeing blood on Mr. McGilded's hands, both of them.
Objection.
And yet only one of the defendant's gloves, which we have here as evidence, is stained. Grr! So you keep saying. I wonder if I might be allowed to speak, sir. Go ahead, Mr. First. Well, the thing is, I think I remember seeing it myself. As it happens... Seeing what? The blood, sir. On the assailant's hands. I think, yes. I'm almost sure that it was on both of his hands, not just one. What? What? It would appear that we're going to need further testimony from all you witnesses. This time, I would like to know precisely what you did and what you did not see. Do I make myself perfectly clear? Yours! Mr. Naruto, this is good news. The course of the trial seems to be shifted slightly at last. Yes. I must finally have a chance to turn things around here. Witness testimony. There was blood on the assailant. I sincerely and distinctly remember that. However, I suppose you might say that I didn't see the exact moment the stabbing transpired, if that matters. I remember seeing the knife, and I remember seeing both of the attacker's hands with blood on them. I didn't actually see anything myself, no! Not until I heard that scream! At first I thought it was my own! I thought I was having an existential crisis. I was like, Beeper, what are you doing with your life? Why does your nose look like a hot dog? Anyways, the fact remains that there couldn't have been anyone else inside that carriage, or we would have all seen. Well, lo and behold, in truth of the fact, not one of you was witness to the crucial moment the crime was perpetrated. What is wrong with me? I can't speak today. And I burped just now. I apologize, my lord, but honestly, there was no one else inside that carriage, and the man's hands were covered in blood. That much incriminating evidence is tantamount to saying that we saw the man do it. That's really not what testimony is all about. Let us examine the interior of the omnibus once more. The victim's fresh blood is clearly visible on the seats, corroborating the witness's accounts. In other words, there is no substantial nor significant change to the facts of this case. Very well. Your cross-examination, please, counsel. Yes, my lord. Okay. Yep. I think we're going to be going on about we're going to be looking at the gloves of the victim. We're going to be getting to that point. Okay, guys, see inside the gloves. Nothing on the tips of the fingers. Just the blood stain. Just the blood stain on the gloves. An ornate letter M. Undeniably Mr. Magnus McGilded's initials. What is wrong with that? I can't read today. And it's beautifully gilded too. It must be very valuable, I should think. What is it? Look at this M. If you turn it upside down, it becomes a W. This could change everything. A W? Yes, This is one of those, turnabout cases. I'm sure of it.
I'm afraid I don't know at all. But what I'm sure of is that this is an M.
Oh, well, that idea was quickly quashed.
That part is the sheath, isn't it? Are you alright, Mr. Naruto?
Oh, sorry, yes. I just don't really like blades.
Oh, is that why you carry a katana around?
Those don't seem like the words of a man with a large katana slung from his waist. Exactly, Susato. We're on the same wavelength. That's not a blade. That's Kazuma's soul. Anyways, there's no sense in delaying it. Let's see what the blade looks like. Ugh, that looks like a lot of blood.
It sure is blood. The victims.
Ugh, an Englishman's blood looks a lot like a Japanese man's blood.
Did you think it wouldn't?
Sorry, it's just that we've only just arrived here in Great Britain. I'm finding it a little hard to adjust.
Yes, I do understand.
Nothing in the sheath. Nothing there. Just wanted to double check. Yes. Okay, I might as well go back from the beginning.
Hold it!
No, the evidence tells us otherwise. We have the gloves that the defendant was wearing on the night in question in the court record. I'm well of that, sir, but nevertheless, I know what I saw and I stand by it. The man had blood on both of his hands. He's defiant, even in the face of hard evidence. He's steadfastly refusing to admit that he might be mistaken about what he saw. But why? Your reasoning is dire. One hand or two, the salient point remains unchanged. Minutes after the grim crime, the victim's blood dripped guiltily from the accused's fingers.
Hold it!
Don't try to downplay this. Whether or not you saw the exact moment of the crime is a matter of fundamental importance, as you well know. But for crying out loud, we all know that no one else could have possibly done it. I was just trying to save us all some time. You have a loan of 20 guineas outstanding with the defendant, do you not? How did you hope to release yourself from that financial burden? By ensuring the defendant was found guilty? That was not entirely not what I was hoping for. I just lost a little guinea or 10 when I backed the wrong horse at the Derby, that's all. But I was going to win it all back. There's a fixture this weekend that's a sure thing. A little guinea or 10? I'm a banker. No one bats an eye if I borrow a little spending money for the weekend. I think you may have revealed rather more about your character than you bargained for, sir. This witness's scruples are not on trial here. Proceed to the next witness. Is that really how it's supposed to work?
Hold it!
You definitely saw that too. Blood on both hands?
Yes, sir. I mean, I know what you're going to say. Only one of Mr. McGilded's gloves has any sign of blood on it.
That's right.
The thing is, as far as I remember, sir, when I looked down and saw Mr. McGilded sitting beside the other fellow, I don't believe he was wearing any gloves, sir.
He wasn't wearing these gloves.
That's correct, sir. And I saw the blood on both of his bare hands quite clearly.
It's true that the dark-colored stain on the dark leather gloves would have been easy to see. I should point out that the police officer who apprehended the accused on the night in question reported that there was no trace of blood on Mr. McGilded's gloved hands. There wasn't blood on his hands. That is puzzling indeed. This must be significant somehow. I'm sure of it. Okay. Yeah, I think we're going to do that one next, but I want to go and be sure. I just want to test all the testimony just to be sure. What's wrong with me? I can barely speak. You didn't see anything.
Oh, yes, sir. That is to say, no, sir, I did it. Please don't hurt people. Don't hit people with the flip-flop. Very sorry about what I said before, so yes, very sorry. It was very wrong of me to make up stories and say I saw him stab the man. Would you agree, sir?
I know what you're insinuating, but I'm certain it wasn't make-up stories. And CzarThwomp can't saw an accent for me. Still, to say that you saw nothing isn't right either.
No, sir, I saw nothing at all.
Mr. Beepo, you were driving your horses. At the very least, you must have enjoyed the good view of London streets, no?
I saw a prostitute giving a hand job.
Oh, please. You didn't even see that?
I was distracted by the prostitute. Please forgive me, Bo. It was so cold that night. You see, it was all I could do to keep from passing out, sir. Yes, my eye was barely frozen solid. So sorry to say, sir.
It would seem prudent to avoid travel on the last omnibus service of London's cold winter nights. You avoid my omnibus, Beepo! David Beepo, you're costing me money!
Ah!
Hold it!
And everything you saw in the incident was through the skylight on the roof of the omnibus. That's right. It was a fiercely cold night, but the glass wasn't frosted over.
Oh, yes, I remember I was shivering. It was so bitter.
Which rather begs the question of why the pair of you were sitting on the roof deck to begin with. Well, I don't know about this young fellow, but I couldn't enter the cabin. Oh, why not? It was locked from the inside. I tried knocking, but no one opened the door.
It was locked.
That's right, and it's a public bus service, for pity's sake. That's not what I call fair play.
Yes, I had exactly the same experience. I tried knocking, but the gents inside kept just gestured at me to clear off. So I had no choice but to climb up to the roof deck and look down longingly into the warm cabin below.
Well, I can assure you, I wasn't looking down. I was glaring, long and hard. And that's precisely why I can tell you with absolute confidence that if there were anyone else in that cabin, I would have noticed. Unequivocal, I would say. Unequivocal, I would say. I'm not sure about these two witnesses. Could they really have seen everything inside the cabin through the skylight? They might have not been able to. Allow me to confirm one thing, Mr. Fairplay. You were riding this omnibus and witnessed the events in the cabin through the skylight in the floor of the upper deck. Is that right? That's right, yes. In that case, there's a portion of the cabin interior that would have been out of sight from you. What?
By golly, really?
Obviously, at this stage, we can't say for sure. But the possibility cannot be denied. At the time of the incident, there could have been another passenger in the enclosed cabin of the omnibus.
Objection!
Enough hypothetical meandering, my Nipponi's friend. The prosecution demands that you substantiate your claims. After all, the scene of the crime is here, in the flesh. Very well, I will open the prosecution's demands. You will identify the area of this cross-sectional plan of the omnibus. Where exactly in the omnibus are you suggesting this potential extra passenger could have been seated? Basically, if they were staring down there, they would get a glimpse of there, but they wouldn't get a glimpse of here. Both rows of seats on the roof face the direction of travel, whereas the seats in the enclosed cabin face each other, which means The visible part of the cabin, which passengers on the roof deck can see through the skylight, is as I've drawn here. Oh! That's right, my lord. As you can see, the seat opposite of the one on the one in which the victim and his attacker were sitting in is obscured from this view. In other words, if someone had been sitting on that seat, it's quite possible these witnesses would have been completely unaware of it. Gah!
Objection!
It's quite possible some phantom was sitting in there. You Nipponese have a forbidding habit of obscuring the truth with ambiguity. I concur with the prosecution's rejoinder. In a British court of law, evidence is paramount. Paramount, not paramount. I cannot entertain this conjecture, counsel. That is, unless you're able to put a name to this mysterious passenger to whom you allude. And then, just all of a sudden, the Bobby Fulbright theme starts playing. Da 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 da. Why is this cheerful music playing?
Can you, Mr. Naruto?
I honestly don't know. Who could it have been? Who could have been in the other seat, which was out of sight from the witness on the roof deck? I have an inkling. I understand, my lord. The defense would like to put forward a name. You are a fool. That response is a desperate attempt by a man who has no notion of his own limitations. A toast to hard lessons not yet learned. Let us not delay, counsel. The defense is still as the name passenger in the other seat. This could be it. This could be the chance I've been waiting for to turn this trial in my favor. On that night, on the night of the murder, the person occupying the seat in this omnibus cabin that was obscured from the view was...
Take that!
Yes! Concealed in the blind spot of the cabin that night was other than this unexpected passenger. Whatever so-called logic you used to arrive at that conclusion, it matters not. Because your answer has made one thing abundantly clear. Is the real blind spot inside your head, and it would appear to be unusually large. You could have just said that's not right.
Mr. Naruto! Our task here is to defend Mr. McGilded, and we were working on the assumption that he's the innocent of this crime.
Yes, of course. Why?
That must mean, then, that there was someone else inside the omnibus with Mr. McGilded, the true culprit.
That's right. Exactly what I've been... Oh! Of course! So the two people sitting inside the cabin that the witness saw through that... So of course, the two people sitting inside the cabin that the witness saw through the skylight that night, they were the victim and the real culprit.
It does seem as though we've all been making a false assumption.
The witnesses weren't looking at Mr. McGilded at all, meaning he had to have been sitting somewhere else. Let us not delay, counsel. The defense is still... Yes, the other seat. I am an idiot. This could be it. Yes, we already went through that.
Take that!
The passenger in the enclosed cabin that the witnesses on the roof deck failed to see has to be Mr. Magnus McGilded.
Mr. McGilded?
What are you talking about, counsel? That's the name of the defendant!
Objection!
Into the fire, you go, wine! If I desecrate this chamber by smashing my hollowed chalice, do forgive the discourtesy. Lord Von Zinks! People talk of those tiny island nations and the Far East as having a learning culture of their own. A learning and culture of their own. But I see they use the terms ill-advisedly. What are you trying to say? Let me explain in terms that even a student of the artless backwater, such as yourself, might understand. When the body scene unfolded, the victim and his assailant were sitting side by side. Multiple witnesses have attested to this fact. It's the very premise on which this case is built.
Objection!
But that premise may be wrong. What? if the victim really was sitting beside Mr. McGilded. It creates an inconsistency that can't be reconciled in any way. What inconsistency, counsel? The defendant's gloves, my lord. Both witnesses made the same testimony. They claim that there was blood on both hands of the person sitting next to the victim.
Objection!
Yet we know the truth to be otherwise. Only one glove bears the gory remains.
Objection!
The point is, even in the face of this irrefutable evidence, both the witnesses have maintained their stance. Yes, their testimony remains unchanged. Exactly. They both admittedly swear. Adamantly. Why? I swear. I swear. I need to get my eyes checked. That they clearly remember seeing blood on both hands of the assailant. In short, their memory of events is correct, and their testimony reveals the truth. I am sorry if I'm fumbling over my words so much. Basically, the thing is that I am not used to being so distant from my television, from my screen. I'm used to playing relatively close to the screen. So basically, if I fumble over words because I misread it. In short, their memory of the events is correct, and their testimony reveals the truth. It was somebody else sitting beside the victim that night, a third party we have yet to identify. And the victim's blood was on that passenger's hands, both of them.
Objection!
And who is this third party? Obviously, the true culprit. Extraordinary! Order! What exactly are you postulating?
Objection!
The defense's postulation is just that. Nothing more than conjecture. The witnesses have clearly stated that they saw the accused.
Objection!
But when elaborating on this testimony, Mr. Fairplay said the two of them were wearing hats, and I couldn't exactly make out their faces. Yes. The tops of their heads were obscured by the roof. I could see the rest of them, though.
Yes, that's right. Both gents were most certainly hatted. Hatters do tend to notice such things, sir.
And what particular style of hat did the two gentlemen sport, Mr. First?
I'm afraid I don't remember.
And you call yourself a hatter? The style of hat makes no difference. There was no third passenger in the cabin. How can you be so sure? Because if there had been, the accused Mr. McGilded would undoubtedly have offered to dispose the fact. Unless, that is, you are proposing an even more preposterous explanation. That the accused failed to even notice the presence of the true culprit in the very cabin in which he traveled. Ah! He's right. If there were another person traveling in the enclosed cabin of the omnibus, it's inconceivable that Mr. McGilded would have been unaware of it. Order! There's clearly a simple solution to this problem. End the episode off! Anyways, I really appreciate that you stuck around to watch this episode. You're a great viewer and I hope you're coming back for the next one. If you like this video, like, subscribe, comment, share, do whatever you want. I'll see you next time. Bye.